So, welcome back to Unveiling Truth, our Empower Her series, Stories of Resilience. And today I have Miss Adrianne House. We are talking to remarkable women who have overcome some type of adversity in their lives, and they are sharing their stories with other women. And this podcast is intended to share nuggets and tips and encourage other women who are going through and living life. You are getting tips and tricks from these women, or just some practical advice on how to keep going from day to day. Adrianne, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, girl.
I am Adrianne House. I am a program coordinator at San Antonio Fighting Back. I work on the Drug Free Community Grant where I work with youth ages, let's say about middle school from 6th to 12th grade. I am a community advocate. I'm a mother. I'm a healthcare provider. I am a woman that holds many crafts. I put on my top hatter and I get out there and do the best I can to build sustainable communities. I have a summer program that we started 5 years the most for the Urban Mind Media. I have two wonderful coalition members that help me put this program on every year, which is Cedric Bellamy with Legacy City, and yes, and my assistant Nikki Sweet, that's with the Urban Suite, KYSM Radio at San Antonio College. And what we did was post COVID, we realized that children needed an outlet, youth needed an outlet in order to speak their truths about what they were going through. And so social media was just jumping around this time, podcasting and, rapping or music or whatever was going on. So we wanted to build a platform for these children, for the youth to be able to have a safe space to tell their truth. It has not only helped us, but it helps the children that we serve as well. One of the things is there was a very big disconnect between the youth and adults.
Do you see the program growing at all moving forward in the future?
Yes, so this year we are working to expand, but we wanted to make sure that we were going in the right direction. You don't want to put something out there that will fail. We've had enough of that in our communities. Okay. It is now time to peel back and really sit and figure out what is my purpose? What is the purpose of this program? How can we help? Is it beneficial? Is it not beneficial? Those are some of the questions that we have asked over the years. And what we do know, because we have people reach out to us, we just can't take the kids because at the time we did not have the resources that we needed. We are building those resources now. But before we started building the resources, we wanted to make sure we brought in people with like minds, people that was not thinking about benefiting off the program, and people who were serious about what we were serious. We take this. It's been three of us, and we take this very serious. We start planning in the beginning of the year to get prepared for these 6 to 8 weeks. We want to be able to open this program as an after school program and
Mm-hmm.
still run a summer program.
Okay.
And so, in order to do that, it takes time, it takes money,
Mm-hmm.
resources. And so, we've been working on that sustainability plans, evidence based programs. We want to show that we are an evidence based program. The kids that we service every year, we still have a connection with them. And so,
Does this program tie to any of the obstacles that you've been going through in your life or have been through in your life? Or is what you do for work separate from some of the things that you've dealt with?
I think everything in the community deals with what goes on in our lives. We were kids who were brought up. So I'm originally from South Central LA, right? So I came up around a time when gangs were just like really active and really busy, the crack era. Then of course we moved to Texas and we moved to Seguin. So it was a little bit, it was a culture shock for us because it was like, yeah, it was very drastic. And then San Antonio becomes home. So I always just think about what I went through as a youth myself. What I didn't realize was that a lot of things that San Antonio went through, we went through that type of stuff in those areas, And so it came here kind of slow, maybe the late 90s, the early 2000s. But one thing that never has changed in our community is the trauma that we go through: gangs, guns, drugs, single parents, mental health, things of that nature. So that hasn't changed, right? It has gotten worse. Another thing that we did not have in our community, you remember, don't talk, don't say anything. We were not allowed, right? We were not allowed to express how we felt. And so then as we started growing older, we grew up in the hip hop era. So we became voiceful, but we at the time we still held back. So when we started raising our children, what did we start teaching them? Don't talk. Whatever going in my house, stay in my house. Well, there was a lot of trauma going on in houses. And so nobody has, it's been passed on from generation to generation to generation until now. This generation speaks out. A friend of mine, we started this self-care, self-love project that we want to do. And we're starting it off with women in the community that serve the community. So we're gonna have this luncheon, and it's an invite only. And I'm having a therapist come to talk about self care and self love. I lost my best friend in December, and I truly feel that it was because she poured into everybody else, and nobody poured back into her. So that's another trauma that we don't talk about because we're expected to be so strong all the time. Nothing is never supposed to happen to us. We don't get to grieve because we're the ones who have to put the funerals together. We're the ones who's going to be doing the kitchen. Or we're the ones who have to make sure that the family is getting food. Nobody has stopped to ask and say, are you okay? Because we're supposed to be that person. So we're starting a self care thing, and it's like to just honor some of the women right now in the community. The first subject is going to be, pouring into your cup, self care and self love. We're going to be talking about healthy eating. We're going to be have a therapist that's coming in that's talking about self care. I talk about self care, self love, right? And really trying to face the traumas because there's 7 traumas that affect our community. And we're out here taking care of everybody else. Who's taking care of you? If you don't take care of yourself, you cannot care for everybody else. And so I'm learning this by watching a lot of my friends and family that are passing away.
Okay, okay. I definitely understand the self-love part because you're right. I spent a lot of time giving, 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 thinking, because growing up, that's what I saw the black women in my life do is give. And
Right,
so I thought that
right.
was the example of what I was supposed to do as a black woman. Be a
Exactly.
mother, be a
Exactly. And be
wife, be a
strong. And be
giver,
strong.
be
Yes.
strong, don't show emotion, like go,
Let people treat you a certain kind of way. Just don't say
yep,
anything. Do that.
just don't
No,
say
that is not in
anything.
my that's not me. That's not I'm gonna say something all the time. I've learned that when you keep your mouth shut, that's what's killing you in the inside. Like, even if I'm never gonna speak to somebody again, I do not have a problem reaching out and saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And a lot of times when I do that and people know that I'm doing it, they already know where this conversation is going. Hey, we need to talk because I need to get this off my chest so I can move on to the next thing. I don't ever have to deal with you again, but you need to understand why I'm not dealing with you anymore. I can accept my faults, but I'm gonna make you accept yours as well. Everybody has to be held accountable. It's about accountability. Everybody screams that word loyal, loyal, loyal. I'm so loyal, I'm so loyal, but don't even know the definition of it. I've watched people get things just snatched away from them who they thought had a team of people that was just like on their side. And I'm just like, what happened here? And I look at all that. Right, I know. And I look at all that and it makes me not deal with the people who've done that. So that's why it takes me longer to do things because I don't trust like that anymore. I've helped people grow and build, and they forgot that I was there that, flower that pour the water into them. You introduce them to tables, and it doesn't bother me because I know who I am as a person, and what's for me is for me. The ideas that I have that I throw out there to people, if you run with it, good, because I didn't want it. But what's for me, and like this program, the self care that I do, the horsemanship program, things like that, that's important to me. So it's gonna take me time to build it because guess what? I'm pouring back into me now. I've literally watched people lose, you know, from people who they thought were their friends. And those are things that we have to stop. We have to stop thinking that everybody that comes around you is a hater or want to take from you, when in actuality, they're just trying to warn you and tell you. You have to stop that because you find yourself in positions that it could have been saved if you would have just listened. And so we need to understand that everybody around us is not our friends. Some people just want to be around you to get the knowledge that you have, to figure out how you did it, how you succeeded. And you have to know when to separate those people from your life. And I have. It's a transition. It's hard, but it's worth it. It's really worth it.
Is there a particular situation that you can talk about that would give an example of the then and the now?
Um, I could, but I wouldn't. I won't yet until I address the person that I need to talk to. I need to address the person first because I don't want it. I don't want it to come off as um, angry, vindictive. I need to know that it was hurt. So I need to face that first, and then I can talk about that. But other than that, just being in a community, period. You know how many ideas I done pitched out there and people done ran with it without giving that knowledge that, oh, she helped with this. I can see them acknowledge everybody else, but they don't acknowledge the person that literally was there with them when they was crying, blood, sweat, tears, none of that. And it's because when you're a voiceful person in the community, when you're somebody like myself, a lot of times people, when they get to a certain level, they don't want people to know that, we're friends because I guess they don't want to take their image. That does not bother me because eventually you'll come back around. You'll need me for something because somebody gonna do you some kind of way. Like you're gonna come back. So at first I used to let that bother me. I don't anymore.
I was going to ask
You
that.
know why?
Like, how did it make you
Because I
feel?
see the downfall from people.
Hmm.
Like I sit back and be like, and then they want to call. Oh, I need to talk to you. What's up? And I don't ever turn them away. I listen, I say what I have to say, and I just keep
Hmm.
it moving. Because
Hmm.
there's no need to beat a person down already, right?
Hmm. True.
Just let them know. When you just have to let them know though, like, hey, I tried to be there for you. I tried to do this. Some people feel like being in our community, we have this ego thing really bad. So when you're working in nonprofits or in the community, it's like if I associate with this set of people, I'm gonna make it, right? But you don't understand that those set of people don't understand where you're coming from, especially if you're a foot soldier, which means if you're in the community day in and day out, you're the resource, you're the this, you're the that. If you don't have the connection with the community, if you have a connection with the community and the people that you're sitting with don't have that same connection, you have to tread very lightly. Because a lot of times those people are utilizing your knowledge to get where they need to be, which means they're going to bring you in. They're going to let you sit at the table with them. They're going to even let you eat with them. But when it comes to moving up, you're going to stay stagnant right there with them. You have to learn how to separate yourself from people like that and know when you're being used. And I've been used a lot. So now I separate myself. So I speak out. I don't hold anything back. They just know they can't play with us anymore. Because a lot of those tables that people are sitting at, me and the people before me kick those doors down so you can sit at them. Because before they wasn't even opening up the doors for you.
So I have two questions that tie to what you were saying. My question number one is like for women who may be dealing with something similar to this, how did you transition from hurt to help? Like, because when they came back to apologize, you were helpful, but a lot of times I know in hurt you don't want to help people. You just want to be left alone. The second fold of that question is you talked about separating yourself and knowing when you're being used. There are some women out there, myself included, and I'm not in that category anymore, but I was in that category just recently last
Uh-huh.
year where I
Right.
trusted a group of people, but that group of people were scheming against me the whole time. How do you know who you can trust and who you can't trust? So that was two different
So
questions, but
that's
all
the
aligned to
thing.
what you were
Right.
talking about.
Right. Once I was hurt, because I'm in this transformation, I have to learn how to heal, right? And so when you know something is for you, and when you know you've been 100% loyal, when you know you stood by somebody, believe me, it's gonna turn back around. By the time it turns back around, you've already healed from that hurt. So you can face that person and say, "Oh, okay," and you take it all in, and then that's when you express how you feel and you move on from it. You know, I've had people like literally come back to me and need help. I just don't help them anymore because I don't have to. Because when I did help you, you took that and did the total opposite, right? And that's okay because you thought in your mind that you were doing something um that was either to benefit you, but not in the process knowing that it was hurting me. That's fine. It just lets you know how selfish you are. Everybody's not selfish. I have a heart of gold. So I cannot allow what somebody has done to stop me from doing what I know what to do, which is help people. Is you just embedded with that. You cannot stop life because of what somebody did. What you can do is grow strong from that and continue to build yourself.
Hmm.
Because like with you, you know what you started. So you know you can start it again if you wanted to.
Hmm.
You know what you done? The thing with most people is that the hurt is what stops us from building
Making
more,
progress.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Because you're hurt. You gonna get over that hurt. It's gonna take a while because yours was a big hurt. That was a big hurt, right? But at the same time, you don't even know how many people are standing behind you. You don't know because you haven't opened up that realm
Hmm.
to let yourself to let yourself like really be vulnerable like people like us, right? You don't know me, you just know maybe my name from the community or whatever.
Hmm.
But you don't know like, hey, we stand with you as a black woman, you know, and until you find those people
Hmm.
that don't have a hidden agenda, and it's hard for me. Like sometimes I'm like, people will call me and be like, "Oh, you should let so and so help," and I'm like, "Oh God, I don't think so." But I'm always happy that I go with my first instinct. Now, see, before I used to not. Okay, 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 because I'm thinking everybody is there. And what? No, no, I'm very meticulous now. I'm very skittish, and I'm okay with that. Believe me, I'm okay with that. You just have to try to align yourself with people who all have the same mind frame but in a different lane. You see what I'm saying? So the things I like to do is with community, because we're failing our community so much, right? Because everybody's doing the same thing. So like if I have a media program and I have families, right? And I know families who may need this type of resource, then my job is to send them over there to you with the resource. My job is not to help with the kids, find a resource to do. I don't want all that recognition. There's so much help that needs to be out here for these families, right? We need to be able to, okay, like if your organization is doing this, then we all need to be up under one umbrella and saying, okay, I'm gonna send them over here because this is the organization that pays the light bill. This is the organization that has a mentoring group for young guys with, gangs or guns or whatever. This is the organizations for young ladies who need it. We try to take on so much as a whole. We just can't keep doing that. We are failing our youth. We are failing our communities. We're failing ourselves. We're out here thinking that we're doing something good and positive. If we still wouldn't have kids on drugs. We still wouldn't have teenage pregnancy. And we still wouldn't be burying our children. Ego. We have to let it go. You gotta let it go. You do. We are so in tune with titles. And titles are affecting our community because the ones with titles cannot help our communities like that. Because they forget about the community. And it's just all about the access they can gain to the community to get what they need to continue to build themselves. When people like us, it'll take us some time, but we really want to build our communities. So we take the losses, right? We take the gains. We take the good. We take the bad. And although it may sound crazy, it's not crazy to us. Because if nothing else, if you don't know anything about me, once I'm gone from here, you got to know I did everything I can to build a Black sustainable community because that's what I'm supposed to do.
And in addition to the strategies that you use to get, you talked about self care, you talked about self healing, you talked about, you didn't say this outright, but I heard you saying, like knowing who you are. In addition to some of those things, what other things got you from that initial place of here's where I was, this was my vision, I wanted to help people, then I got, my ideas got stolen, I got hurt, I self-cared, I self-loved, I figured out my identity, I got to this place. Was there anything else that helped you along this journey that would be helpful?
The people who started with me that are still here. So people
Hmm.
trickled in, trickled out. But the people that are literally still here that encourage me, who know my
Support
walk of
team
life,
or
did
support
not,
group.
right, did not, just
Okay.
that having that support. And I'm talking men and women. I have more men that support me, I think, than women, right?
Hmm.
But just having that support to say, no, you need, I was talking to one of my mentors today. He was like, no, you need to do this, you need to do this. And they're just being honest. I think a lot of times we are scared of honesty and don't want to hear it, but you need it. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna break you down, it's gonna make you cry, it's gonna make you sit back and just think about things, but you need to hear it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times as women, honesty just like kills us. But that's why we hurt so much because somebody doesn't want to be honest to us because they scared they're gonna hurt our feelings. No, put your big girl drawers on and listen. Because I listen now. Like even when I'm wrong about something, I listen. A decision for me is that I listen more. And it has helped me.
I agree. I think listening is an incredible tool that we don't, as human, not just Black women, not just women, I think human beings don't do
That's right.
listening well. And for those of us who do listening well, how do we help our sisters that there's no one that's talking to them? So there's nothing to listen to.
So you have to learn how to approach different people because everybody's different. I have people tell me, oh my God, you look so mean. Okay. So if that's just going to stop you from approaching me, then you don't need to be talking to me in the first place. We got to get past all that. Just having that confidence of going in and saying, hey, like if you guys are in a conversation or you're hearing something that doesn't seem quite right, you don't have to in front of everybody. Just hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And you'd be surprised how many times people just by having that 101 would listen because somebody took the time out first to listen to what they were saying, analyze and say, hey, wait a minute, that's not right, or I have another way you can do this, or there's a better way. Let me introduce you to somebody who may can help you. We don't do that enough. Right.
So if I don't have, so for instance, if a woman doesn't have a mentor or doesn't have a support group, your advice to her would be to find someone to ask or find someone to speak to that can help, that can listen, and then maybe offer advice or just be the ear to listen.
Or find somebody in that lane that you're going down. Because if you say if you want to become a counselor, then you need to surround yourself with people that are counselors. Don't surround yourself with people that are hairdressers. You in there talking to people in the beauty shop. You need to surround yourself with people who are counselors, who are social workers, and they have special groups for that. Like social media, everything is on social media nowadays. But if your role is to be a counselor, who do you think you need to be talking to? A counselor at a school, right? Are getting in tune with somebody who's also going down that road. Because if you want to be a counselor, which means what? You need in school, you have to speak to a counselor at school, right? Let's ask questions. Ask about support services. Ask about, hey, do you know anybody who can mentor me? They're around. Mentors are around. You just have to be willing to be opened up to that, right? Network. Get out of that shell and afraid to talk because not everybody is out to hurt you, especially people who don't know you. I found myself intrigued and speaking to people more that I don't know than people that I know.
Mm.
You have to ask questions and quit asking people who don't know
Oof.
anything about what you're talking about. That's
Yeah.
one problem right there. Quit going into your homegirls and all that because they don't, they don't know how to answer. Hell, they in the same boat as you. They looking for
Mm-hmm.
some advice. So that's something you have to always think about when you're going back to school and they have people that are there that you can talk to. And then eventually you will find these circles, right? That will help you. Our network. Reach out to your community advocates. Reach out to your community centers. Reach out to people you see in the community. Believe me, we network. We may not have the answer right then and there, but we're gonna find it for you, and we're gonna make sure we put you in the right hands, into with the right people. So yeah, so be that support system for somebody. If I don't have the answer, I'm gonna find somebody with the answer. I'm gonna lead you to the person, and I'm never gonna lead you to somebody that's gonna take advantage of you. Because I just don't put those type of people in my circle.
Yes, so ladies, if you don't have a current support system and you're stuck,
Right.
either both ways, right? So you're either not being a good listener and someone is asking you something, or you don't have another sounding board to bounce your ideas off of. As you said, old school, our parents told us, closed mouths don't get fed. So, like, if you don't
Right.
go out and network, if you don't go and ask questions, if you don't find the circle of people, even if it's not your actual circle for the moment, right? Even if you
Right.
like, if you want to
Right.
be the counselor, even if you just go find a couple counselors to ask some questions of, they might end up being a part of your circle or they may not. They may have just been a
You
stepping
get into these
stone
groups
to
and you can
get
ask, how do I
to,
get started?
yeah, exactly where
Right.
you need
Like
to
you
go
have to
to.
be. You have to be proactive in your own life. So be proactive in your life.
Hmm.
Stop
Hmm.
expecting everybody else to just know.
How has overcoming a lot of the challenges that you have overcome in your life
I don't know.
impacted who you are today?
You don't want to use the word being strong because even concrete will crack. Ice breaks, foundations fall. And I think it was the experiences of the falling. Because once you start falling, the one thing that I do know is this. Depression is real, right? But if you get so deep down in that black hole, it is hard to climb out of. Although you don't want to be deemed as always the strong, I still have people that depend on me. And I don't want them to see that and think that I gave up. So that was motivation for me. Also, just looking at, I have people that have been through way worse things than me, okay? But looking at my son who was shot, like look at him, everything that life threw at him and took away from him, he never gives up. And so how can I, a person who still can walk because he can't walk anymore, a person who can still do things that he can't do, but he finished school and he graduated with his bachelor's and working on a master's. So how can I give up? I watched him go, tubes being down his throat, feeding tubes, surgery after surgery, infection after infection, and still push through. I can't give up. There's not an ounce of me that's gonna allow me to give up. And I'm not gonna let somebody else give up. I've watched friends lose children. We have buried children. I've lost friends. I've lost friends. You cannot give up. What keeps me strong is all of us as a community and we stick together and we don't allow each other to go into those dark, deep places anymore. Because once you get there, it is hard to come out of them.
Oh,
You
I
have to
know.
learn from everything that you've been
No.
through. You have to learn. It's a learning lesson. Oh, okay. So the next time you do something, oh, I
Hmm.
know not to do it this way. Oh, I know not to do it with you. Oh, I know not to do this. And sometimes, to be honest with you, moving in silence is a key.
Hmm.
You plan, you execute in silence. Then when you, as you're executing and you're building and you're growing, you can bring the different pieces in that you need. You just can't do it always all by yourself. But the planning, the preparation, the getting it together,
Hmm.
you can do that by yourself. I really and strategically figure out who I know I can trust with it and who I know will help me carry it through.
We talked about the community and community trauma and like your work in the community and how some of the things that you've been through has been through your work. Some of the trauma that you've been through has been through your work. And then just recently, I'm hearing you talk about the trauma with your son and like what you are like realizing, and like he's strong and he's doing all of these things, so I don't have a reason to complain. Then I heard you earlier say there was an experience where you lost your best friend in December.
Yeah.
And so you've had not only trauma on the job, but also in your personal life with your baby, with your best friend. What is your definition of resilient?
To me, resilience is never giving up, standing in your truth. I don't know what I can tell people because I'm still going through some things. What I can say is you have to have somebody that you can talk to. I have a therapist that I go talk to because I can't talk to everybody. And that was the best, that was one of the best things that I could have ever done, right? Was go get me a therapist. So when you're dealing with traumas that are just out of control, you have to find somebody you can talk to. And the first person I'm always say is go get you a therapist because they're not biased. They're not trying to steal your ideas. They're not judging you, right? They're listening. And you'll be surprised of just how much I've overcome within the last year of talking to my therapist. Because I held a lot of stuff in and a lot of hurt, a lot of everything, but going to a therapist has really, because my thing is this, I didn't want to go back to jail. I was holding in a lot. And so just from my son being shot, best friend haven't even passed away yet. So it was just for my son. So, and then childhood trauma, like I was holding in a lot. And I was able to be a therapist. That's all I can tell y'all. Like you can't shy away from that. And I'm gonna be the first to tell you can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the first. We go through traumas that are not normal traumas that people show in our communities. So, therapists, seek out and find you somebody that you can talk to that's not gonna be biased, that's gonna listen, and again, be willing to accept, right? What the feedback from your therapist? Because I was like, I'm not finna go see this woman no more. But then I realized one day I needed to call her because I was,
right. You can't just talk and not listen because sometimes they talk back.
Pushed me and really have gotten me through some dark days. Just having that where I know it's not gonna be beaten, 10 times before it gets back to me. Go see a therapist. We need to talk more about that as well in our communities. Learn to say no to things. Once you put that vocabulary, girl, you be surprised at the things you start doing. No, for real, even now, sometimes my kids, you cooking tonight? No, I'm not. I'm tired tonight. We have food in there. Get you something to eat because it's a routine that everybody expects you to continue to keep doing.
Yes, it is.
And nobody has once said, "Mama, you tired today? You don't have to cook if you don't want to." We have to learn how to say no. Learning to say no, and learning to accept invites when people are asking you to come out to enjoy yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because I have that bad too. I was supposed to go to the comedy show yesterday with a good friend of mine, and I couldn't go. That was my own fault, though, right? But then I sat back and was like, "Oh man, I really should have went." But if I would have did what I was supposed to do some self care for myself, I wouldn't have been feeling bad, right? So now it's like, God, I hate that I missed that because you start regretting, right? So when somebody invites you to go somewhere, all these scenarios, go out to that stuff. Be human for once. Put all this other stuff to the side. The work, business, school, whatever you're doing, motherhood, whatever. Put that to the side for one day and enjoy yourself. Start taking care of yourself so you can do the things that you want to do. But do that. Take those invites sometimes. Go out there, let your hair down or whatever. I didn't have these grades a couple of months ago, and now they just poop, poop, poop. The stress, the trauma, the grief, everything that I go through because I'm not taking care of myself. And now I can't stand it. I'm like, oh no. So now it's like, take care of yourself.
I could not agree more.
And so you have to learn how to teach people to appreciate you. That's what we have to do. Yeah. You have to learn how to teach people to appreciate you. And
Correct.
That's the walk I'm on right now. That's the walk I'm on.
Oh, you better say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the walk I'm on.
Absolutely. That's the walk
Yes,
I'm on too. That's where I'm at
that's
too.
right.
So I really appreciate your authenticity. I love when people are there, they are their authentic selves, and you are just your 100% your authentic self, and I love it. And you somebody auntie in these streets talking about girl sit down.
Yeah, yeah, they get mad at Auntie, but Auntie don't care. I'm a Sagittarius, you know, I'm a fire, and I'm a December Sagittarius. I'm gonna cuss you out there, cut you off. And not gonna feel bad about it at all. And when I see you, I'm gonna say hey and keep it moving. You be alright.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully I can invite you to our group, our self-care group. I think you would love it. Um, I know that I know that life has thrown a lot of lemons and and people has made lemonade stands off of a lot of people's work. I know you've been through a lot, so just know that there is a community of women who do stand behind you, and some of these women you don't even know, you know. But we know the story, and we've been rooting for you and trying to figure out ways to help you on this journey.